Hello and welcome to Story Behind a Resume. I'm your host, Abu Saim. For over a decade, I have worked in marketing technologies within the CPG and QSR sectors. I've been privileged to collaborate with many inspiring leaders and have always been fascinated by their unique journeys. The highs and lows, the pivots, the triumphs that have shaped their careers. Resumes often tell an incomplete story. They highlight the wins, the polished achievements, but what about the obstacles, the setbacks, the detours? These experiences truly define us. That's why I created Story Behind a Resume. I wanted to delve deeper to uncover the authentic stories behind those perfectly formatted resumes. A career isn't simply a list of jobs, it's an evolving journey of growth, resilience, and self discovery. Each episode, I'll go beyond job titles and explore the pivotal moments that have shaped my guests' careers. I'll uncover valuable lessons, challenges overcome, and guiding principles that have driven their success. I hope these stories will inspire you, encourage you, and remind you that your career journey is unique and worth celebrating. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the conversation. Today, I have a special guest with me. She has been my longtime coach, a mentor since 2020. Her name is Amy O, founder and executive coach of Innovate You. Amy is an ICF certified coach and Fascinate Certified Advisor who radiates inspiring transformation. Recently, she has also become an international best-selling author with her first collaboration book, Evolution of Leadership in STEM: Women Catalyzing Change. Amy lives in Canada with her family, including her husband, son, and her Siberian Husky girl. She partners with clients globally. Hi, Amy. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Abu. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure to have you. All right, so let's explore Amy's career journey. Starting at the very beginning, we'll discover her educational background, what she studied, and what sparked her passion for that field. Then we'll trace her first steps into the professional world, her very first job, and the factors that influenced her choice of role and industry. Finally, we'll hear about defining lessons and early career challenges, those crucial experiences that shaped her trajectory. Whether you are a student, a recent graduate, or simply curious about the paths of successful professionals, this conversation offers valuable insights and inspiration. So let's begin. Amy, would you please tell us a bit about your educational background for our listeners?
Sure. So many years ago, I graduated from University of Waterloo with an honors science and business degree, um, adding also on the minor on computer science. And then later on, in 2019, I did a postgraduate diploma on innovation and design thinking.
Wow, that's amazing. And how did you end up with your first job? Like I remember my first job was not ideal. It was in 2008. I would like to
Hmm.
understand, or maybe if you can share how did you
Right.
land your first job?
Well, so maybe a little bit about the background of like how I chose my degree, like why I would
Mm-hmm.
wanted to study science to start off with. I felt like I was always curious. I always wanted to know more how things work, how the world goes around, and that's where that curiosity always piqued me on finding out some how things work together, like whether it's the mechanical work or like a science behind it or like the space like in the early age. So throughout the studies years that I find like science is something for me, although
Nice.
not thinking so much about like what I would be doing when I
Mm-hmm.
started university, but the path seems to just kind of lay in front of me like step by
That's
step. Partially is also that I decided very early on when I was studying in Canada that I wanted to stay. I wanted to have my life here, to build my life here. because a lot of the people here love what I've experienced in that few years of study. So kind of paved my way to study also computer science. So at the time, that is a really popular subject, and also finding a job at the time with technology is probably a good choice, right? It's good to have, right? So then that's how I started doing that. But in
Was
terms
it
of
the
blending,
2000s? Sorry to
was
interrupt.
it in
Just like
2000? Oh
yeah,
no, like I graduated in the 90s, right? So like,
90s.
and
Okay,
that was a while back. Let's
before
not
the
count the
dot-com
numbers.
boom. I
Let's
know
don't count the numbers, Abu. You know me.
for sure.
but but honestly, like the first job, as you were asking me about the first time, so looking back, like my first real job, like having a pay, had nothing to do with science nor technology. I was in that field yet. So it's maybe I don't share that very often, but my very first job was actually working in the television. So I
Wow,
was hosting a teenage years program in an English channel when I was back home. So after I graduated, right? So again, that was something that just came to me as an opportunity, and I
I
decided to,
see.
yes, I'm going to try it. And
Right,
then and did that, like maybe there were 10, 12 episodes that I
I
did.
see.
But it was interesting, and I actually learned quite a bit about, how to work with people as a team, because as you know, TV production would have a lot of people involved, right? It's not just the people
Hmm.
in front of the camera. But I also learned how to be not to be shy, like to be on camera. And something that also has served me well is that you have to get yourself prepared
Right,
beforehand, before you get onto the set, because there are other people would get affected by it if you're not ready, or delaying the work and so on, right? So then those
right,
are great and precious lessons that I learned. Even though I decided that wasn't probably not the path for me, but that
right.
was really my first job,
Wow,
right?
that's very interesting. TV, and then I never imagined you would be in TV doing co-hosting episodes. So that's very interesting. And you have shared a couple of life lessons too, like being prepared so that you are in sync with others, and especially when you
Mhm.
are on a TV, or that requires a lot of preparation to match with others. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. We'd move into the second phase, our second section, which is your career growth and transition.
Mhm.
Just to give an overview for our listeners, we have explored Amy's early career now. Let's delve into her professional evolution. We'll uncover the significant milestones that shaped her path, promotions, job changes, or even transitions to entirely new industries. We'll discover the reasons behind her decisions, the risks she took, and how those choices influenced her career. We'll also explore the essential skills she developed to thrive at each stage and her approach to continuous learning. It's fascinating how unexpected twists and turns in a career journey can often lead to remarkable outcomes. Let's hear how Amy navigated those transitions and what she learned along the way. Amy, what are some of your major milestones, decisions, and skills you decided to develop?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Abu. So as I mentioned, I started working back and at home, like which I grew up at in Hong Kong. So I started working, and then within a year and a half, that after working there in the industry, so I was working at a bank in the
Hmm.
IT department at the beginning, and then a consulting firm. Then I decided that I have to move back to Canada. I wanted to. So I came back, and my first job in Canada, I would say that was the first milestone.
Wow.
Because I immigrated on my own, and I came back. I have to start everything from scratch. Like I have not got any foundation, and so I need to build that up. So I had that job in a company that is a software developer company, right? So
I
it's
see.
software development. I was a programmer, and that experience was amazing because I learned a
Hmm.
lot from that as well.
For sure.
One of the things is that learning how to survive and work in a more toxic environment.
Oh.
Unfortunately, it wasn't the best
Mhm.
office environment at the time, but
Mhm.
I did had a lot of great people that I worked with and who helped me along the way. And I picked up a lot of the technical skills and also the interpersonal skills at the time. So that was the first thing. And
Mhm.
then I would say the second milestone was when I decided to leave that company because I could not continue in that toxic environment. Even though I could have stayed, I could have just wait until and see if how the company change or like if get bought by another company or whatever that might be, right? But I
Right.
decided I need to take the risk. I need to leave that environment because it was not good for me.
Right.
And so I took that step and decided to just look for a job. And fortunate enough that I went to the global Fortune 500 company at that
Mm.
time, and I was able to join in the IT department as well, now in house, right? So, as a really large company,
Right.
I was not prepared to get into in house yet because at the time I was young. I was like working in a software development company. I thought my path, my career path, would be going into consultants, right, to become a
Right.
consultant.
Right.
So having this opportunity in front of me, I thought, okay, maybe I'll try it because I've never done really in house, like except the
Mhm.
very first like bank job for a very short time.
Right.
But it's probably not for me. I thought, right at the time, I said, I'll give it 2 years. I will try 2 years, and I have to move on, right?
Right.
But little do I know, I ended up staying for 23 years.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing because you and I obviously met in the same company, and I have been following you there for I would say I remember you for almost more than 5 years. You've been being promoted from one to another, and I always presenting in team meetings. So I always, saw you as a visionary leader. I little did I know that you have been there for 20 plus years. That's
Yes.
amazing.
Hmm.
Any skills that you developed that you would highlight now that you couldn't go back to the consultancy mode anymore?
Well, I would say that the reason that kept me there for so long was one, I was fortunate that I was meeting a lot of great people, great
Hmm.
mentors,
Right.
people that helped me to develop my career, but also opportunities that was within the company. So I wasn't doing the same thing year after year, right? So I
Mhm.
shifted a few times in my
I see.
career, a long career there, into different
Right.
roles and
I
kept me
see.
fresh, kept me learning, kept me challenge myself, right? So that's the reason why I felt those years just went by really quickly.
Oh, wow. No, that's
Yes.
amazing. And you know what? In terms of reaching milestones,
Mm,
always you targeted something and you got something else because you met such wonderful people. The environment was, learning favorable. That's something unique that you don't get everywhere. And I would say big companies, especially Fortune 500, they do invest on their people. I
for
guess
sure.
that's how you were able to nurture and continue
Yeah,
learning in
absolutely.
multiple roles. So in terms of if I may,
Hmm.
how many roles did you switch in 23 years?
I never really counted it.
Right?
Okay, let's go from the beginning. I was a
Sure.
programmer. I started
Okay.
as a programmer.
Right.
I switched over to report analytics.
I
So
see.
as a member in the team, learning what does it mean by report analytics, and I became a manager for a couple of people. So I started having like a sub team within the
Hmm.
team, and then became the leader of the team, became the director, and became the business analytics director in
I
the
see.
company's department, so that I was able to not just one learning how to like manage talent, right, and bring up
Mhm.
people, develop people,
Right.
managing work, but also to become someone that is accountable for bringing the company forward on using the best technology tools, business analytics tools to help the business to thrive, right?
Right.
As you know, like with data, that's so important. How do we bring that data into insights? And some of those tools can help. And that's like building that foundation for the company also to kind of start looking and using the data in a different way. So,
Right.
not just using spreadsheets, so to speak,
I
right?
see.
Just really
Yep.
drawing out the data information to become insights, right? So
Right.
those early
Right.
days on that, and so like I was
Hmm.
able to help and drive those, and so those roles also brought me to the later on becoming a leader in the innovation um, space on bringing like a market insights to the group and be part of the regional team so I can support and help drive that innovation culture,
Right.
looking at the emerging technologies, right? How do we bring those in and help the company as well? So those various number of roles, I don't know if you kept count on how many of them, but
Right.
I felt that it's a great evolution. It was a great
Right.
opportunities that I had, and I really treasure those. And I kept on growing, right? And I
Yeah.
learned along the way, picking up skills like organizational skills, the
Hmm.
team work. How do you collaborate with people within your own team, outside your team, across the region, across the globe, within multiple teams? How do you communicate effectively, right? How do you
Right.
bring your message across that people would understand you? How do you do presentation that people don't fall asleep, right? How do you negotiate with people that are not necessarily agreeing with you, right?
Right.
How do you serve people like because we are IT, we're a service department. How do you negotiate and also making sure that you're bringing the value to the business, right? That would drive like sales growth and all that.
I see.
Also, conflicts, right? How do you manage conflicts? Sometimes that is inevitable that you see that, but those are the
Yes.
different skills that I felt like really critical as you
Hmm.
grow and becoming a leader. Of course, the obvious ones of having the critical thinking skills, strategic thinking
Right.
skills, those are really important as well.
Amazing. And as I'm listening, I'm kind of resonating my evolution as I'm trying to develop my career. So one quick question before we move to our next section is,
Yeah.
for our maybe it might be also suitable for our student listener. Um, so once you are an analyst and you develop over the years some skill set, how did you um, jump the hoof of becoming a manager, a people manager, or any manager? Because in my experience, I found it the most difficult.
Mm,
But I
mm,
did cross it after a lot of hardship.
sure.
Is it true that it's okay? Maybe I'll stick to that question, and then we'll move on to the next
Sure.
section.
Yeah, I love to share that. A little bit like maybe for each person is different. But the
I
way I
see.
took it is that first of all, you have to develop the interest of knowing people and that
Hmm.
you have a genuine interest to develop them, to help them grow. Right. So I think that's the very first step. It's not so much about, oh, because you want to have the title of a manager or you want it to be the top in the pack, right? Um,
Right.
because you're genuinely interested in developing people. So that's the first thing. Second, then, is about really doing it before you actually become a manager, right?
Right.
So, what I mean by that is you will be able to find opportunities to mentor, you will help others to learn different skill sets, develop them in a way that will help them get to the next step.
I see.
And then, third, you have to ask, you have to voice your interest, right? In a company, the larger company will always have those plan for your career, right? Those plan will include what you're looking at in 5 years time, what you wanted to do, who you want to become, right?
Right.
And those are great opportunities to talk to your manager about what is your desire to become a manager and why. What are the things that you're already demonstrating? What kind of traits that you're already demonstrating that you can be a manager, you can lead. Um, showing those evidence, right? And get yourself
Right.
prepared and ready. And then also make sure that you get that known, right? Let people know this is what you
Yes.
desire to do. Yeah.
Yes, and that those are some excellent advice from your real life experience, Amy. And I kind of connected on that part where you said you need to let your voice heard. And I tried that in the last phase when before I kind of got into the more mid senior. It's hard to get maybe passing a lot of hoops. But
Mhm.
when I talked to enough people, when I showed them that these are the things I've done or these are the things I'm willing to do or would bring value to the business, that's when I guess I got the opportunity and people got interested. So thanks for sharing that. I hope our listeners and viewers take some insights from there and be able to utilize in their own life. Okay, so going to the next section, which is you're talking about your career growth and transition. Um,
Mhm.
Now that we have explored Amy's early career, let's dive into her professional evolution. We'll uncover um, I think I covered that. Hold on. Yeah, sorry.
We can repeat
Yeah,
also
yeah.
if
With
people are not too bored of what we're
I know.
talking about. Just kidding.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we'd like to delve into more of your, course of your professional journey. How there are some defining moments that shaped your trajectory, including promotions, job changes, and would like to uncover some motivation behind your decisions, some obstacles that
Mhm.
you overcame.
Yeah.
It's truly remarkable how unexpected twists and turns can lead to extraordinary destinations in one's career. Let's hear your story.
Mhm.
Amy, as your longtime follower, such as me, I was super excited to see that you recently became an international best-selling author with your collaboration book called Evolution of Leadership in STEM: Women Catalyzing Change. Maybe you can start by sharing a bit about this book first.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for asking, Abu, and thank you so much for your support over the years as well. And
Sure.
I'm really happy that I made the choice to join this project and become an author. So back in the beginning of 24,
Right.
I put down on my dream, on my vision board, if you like, that I'll be an author in 24. At
Right.
the time, I didn't know how. I had no clue. What does that mean? How would I do it? I just put it down. And the opportunity came in mid year that I was asked, would you like to be part of this project? And I looked at the title and I thought, well, this is perfect. This is how I can share my leadership journey as a person in STEM, as a woman in STEM. And hopefully, my story can inspire a little with someone that resonates or help somebody to navigate their paths as well.
Right.
So I said yes. I said, yes, I will be part of this project. And I'm happy that I've done that because I learned also, like, writing is not something that natural to me, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
that
Right.
I was not good at school, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But going through that exercise, I felt, do you know what? I have developed the skills over the years,
Right.
finally, that I can tell a story. I can help writing my own story in this chapter as well. And
Oh,
plus,
awesome.
it's amazing this book has like other 20 amazing women in STEM
I see.
who also shared a story. So I think it's a great
Mm-hmm.
read. I hope that any audience that have not read it would go and get a copy and enjoy that reading of all the great women in STEM
Yeah.
stories.
I'll
Yeah,
definitely share the book's link after the
sure.
show in the comments, so our viewers and listeners can pick it up. I wanted to. I'm just curious. The chapter that you wrote in this book in a collaboration. What is it about?
Yeah, so it's about my leadership journey, right? So
Okay.
how I start developing the different skills as I go
Mm-hmm.
through the stages
I
through
see.
my journey. And so I like to kind of share that in the bits and parts of it. Some of them is what I've shared with you that I talk about the timing on when things happen,
Right.
um,
Right.
and but then has like a deeper side on how things inspire me, like some of the phrases that I really took on and really embracing that change. And that's the title of my chapter, about embracing change and say yes to navigate your career, your unique career path of success. So that gave me the chance of sharing that in a chapter format, which it's very fulfilling, that becoming an author. So I love
I
to,
see.
when I have a chance, and do more of that.
Nice, nicely done, Amy. I'm really looking forward to read this. I hope you get some good feedback and you progress from there, from one chapter to maybe a whole book by yourself. And
Thank
uh,
you.
just the last question about your book: what do you would want your reader to gain from this book
Right.
itself or your chapter?
Yeah, definitely. I hope that they will pick up a few of the skills that, if they
Mhm.
find that is something that they're not necessarily good at yet, they can see how they can develop it. They
Right.
can see how I evolve, right, in my
Hmm.
journey. And
Hmm.
if they can resonate with that, there are challenges for sure, right, when you're
Right.
going through years on your career path. But that's not the end, right? Like when you have
Hmm.
those challenges, then you can always face it, and you have a lesson that you can learn.
Right.
And so know that I can do it, you can do it too. So
Totally.
yeah.
And I'm gonna take that inspiration, apply it on me from today. Not only from today, I've been reading about it from LinkedIn. So I'm already inspired. I'm already bought in. So I think our viewers and listeners are gonna find it greatly helpful. Thanks for sharing that, Amy. Maybe a little bit on um, industry trends, right? How would you share
Mm.
how you keep yourself up to date with the industry out there? Um, what sort of activities that you do, personal or public?
For sure. Now, Abu, as you know, I'm no longer in the industry of
Hmm.
technology.
Right.
Since I changed my career path again, I pivot back in 2023.
Right.
So even that, deep down, I'm still passionate about technology. So I'm constantly following and looking at how the technology is changing, how that landscape is changing. I'm still intrigued by all the news about how AI is developing, how Gen AI is shaping how we work, and so on. So in order to keep myself being, fresh, and also like keep up with what's going on, that I
Hmm.
do look at different opportunities, either through the learnings through a lot of experts on LinkedIn, and also different courses that I saw also online, that I would take some of those. And of course, that is not as much as I could, because of other focus I need to be building on my own business. But
Hmm.
recently, and the end of last year, so October, so Q4, I joined a group, that community that is exploring the use of AI in coaching, learning
Right.
some of the skill set, how you can leverage the tools to help one of to build on, or help with my day-to-day operations in my business, but also to help and explore ways how we can leverage the technology in our coaching practice, right? So I'm open to definitely using technology. I've always been, and
Right.
not necessarily in the very, very forefront, but always keeping up myself in pace of like how it's developing, right? And testing things out,
Hmm.
but also to explore how I could be potentially be using it in the near future in my field now, in coaching,
Right.
in training and whatnot, right? So that's really important for me to keep that up, and
Mhm.
because of, again, my passion about technology, I know it can do great work, and it can help a lot,
Right.
how people do work, and also like it can help humanity. It's, don't forget that, right?
Definitely.
We just need to know how it is going to help us, and what is the boundaries, and what we need to be careful with, and help shaping it, right? We all have that responsibility. It's not just up to the people in the field and doing those work, but also as a user, as a consumer, that we also have our voice as well.
Right. And that actually piques my interest on one topic is,
Mhm.
you have spent a lot of time in STEM, and you have also written a chapter about it. In How do you think Gen AI, or the future of AI that's coming, is going to impact that side of things? Because AI is so powerful, it has all the knowledge. So, ingenuity, genuine innovation, invention. Do you think people are going to rely on AI more in terms of invention? How do you think the impact would be?
Yeah, for sure. I definitely see this as a tool, right? Just
Hmm.
no difference with like a computer that you're using today or a phone that you're using today.
Right.
Some of the applications that you're already using for design, right? A lot
Yeah.
of change over the last 30 years of like when designers would only work with pencil and paper
Yeah.
to using computer graphics, like and using those applications already. So there's
Right.
no difference that now we have another tool
Mm.
using AI, right? And leveraging that to continue to enhance and augment how we do things, right? On
Right.
whatever you do, right? So all industries, I would say, pretty much all, will get impacted, will get enhanced, will get augmented of what we do, and that's
Amazing. I
okay.
agree.
And we
Yes.
should, yeah, we should be embracing that, right? As you know, you have that background as well on innovation, on technology, and this is going to give us the edge if you use it well,
Yes,
right?
totally. I remember when I joined your innovation circle or team, um, you know, ML was big, or data was big. Everyone was talking about ML and deep learning, machine learning. There were courses and seminars, and all of a sudden, this AI, Gen AI, kind of broke that barrier, and it just exponential.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right; it's totally a tool that human beings have developed. I think this is going to take productivity to an exponential level, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Before a project manager could do certain things within 1 week, now they can do that same thing in 5 minutes. That's unbelievable. And wait till quantum computing comes in, and I already see some news that it's happening.
Yeah.
Google developed something that can calculate thousands of years of calculation in 5 minutes. So
Mm-hmm.
we are in the forefront of major disruption using this tool, and I hope we can catch up, keep ourselves paced with the same. Okay, so thanks for sharing those interesting stories, Amy. Let's move into a little bit more your career growth, advice for career growth for the young ones out there, or the professionals who are trying to go up the ladder. I want to uncover those your valuable insights, the advice that can truly propel your career forward. I'm talking to our viewer, of course. We'll hear about you, Amy, about the crucial skills and qualities needed to succeed in a field. We'll also delve into the impact of networking and mentorship, how it's shaped your journey, Amy. This is a great opportunity to learn about building relationships and gaining wisdom. So, Amy, I think our listeners would love to hear your thoughts on this about networking and mentoring. And already specified you have been my mentor for quite some time. I learned a lot. What are some of the essential skills and traits for success in this?
Um, I would say that you just have to let yourself to know you don't have all the answers. You don't need to
Hmm.
know everything, but you can
Right,
leverage others that who knows the field well, or you know the different topics well, and have that genuine interest to learn from others, right? And
right.
also be generous of sharing your knowledge as well, because
Yes,
when you think of like in networking with others, it's not just about getting from one side, right? It's an exchange. It is a mutual interest on learning from each other, as sharing knowledge as well. So think about what you can offer. Think of what value you can bring to the other party
Mhm.
as well,
Right.
and genuinely share that, right? And that builds a relationship, right, with the other
Right.
party. So it's not about take, it's also about like both you give and you also
Mhm.
take and you learn and grow together. So
Right.
when you think of like it's a win-win, like that you both
Mhm.
can grow together, supporting each
Mhm.
other, that would
Mhm.
be a great relationship that you can build on, right? So the
Right.
network is not just about knowing someone or just get yourself known like to many, many people, but really
Yes.
is to be able to offer what you can offer to the table and share that. And in return, and just naturally, you will also receive and you will grow and you'll learn.
Right. Right. And that kind of piqued my interest in networking part because I've been writing on LinkedIn on a series about how you do networking. And for the past few months, I've been networking, I would say dedicatedly because I've never done it like that. I guess it was a necessity because I was looking for a new job and
Hmm.
sending a resume and just sending a message on LinkedIn was not cutting it. So I, rolled up my sleeve, went out and started meeting people. And as soon
Hmm.
as I met people, the first group of or event that I attended as a networking event, I heard the few of the buzz words, something like meaningful connection, value add,
Hmm.
and then something like that. You said, what can you give back in exchange, right?
Hmm.
So I've been writing, on few of those how people can actually connect, and then keep on developing, expanding their networking. What can they give? So it's really interesting that you brought that up. I just wanted to share a little bit of my
Hmm.
insight as I went through the last
Yeah,
few months. So definitely,
absolutely.
that's networking is essential, and it's one of the I would say, in my opinion, one of the first priority anyone should do who are looking out there to develop their career.
Yeah, I would also add, Abu,
Mhm.
it's not just about networking, but it really is
Mhm.
connecting to people.
Right.
We need those connections, and we
Definitely.
all look for those connections, right? Deeper
Hmm.
connections with people. So I
Hmm.
think as you are being yourself, being authentic, and genuinely wanted to share and grow with others, that
Right.
connections will grow, right? So
Yes.
then that's the added part on like it's not just about networking, but really connecting with people.
Right. Yes. And I got this idea from another person who told me in any conference she goes to, um, she doesn't sit in the same row every webinar or seminar that she's attending. She
Mm-hmm.
switches rows so that she can meet new people. That way, you meet no more new people. It's daunting, I know. Meeting new people. A lot of people are shy. I'm introvert myself. Don't want to talk to people if not necessary, but I force myself to do that. I intentionally go in, and even if that person is totally out of not within my field, or I try to kind of say something interesting, and that kind of piques the conversation, and we ended up you know adding on LinkedIn, even going for coffee. So
Mm-hmm.
thanks for sharing that. I want to switch gear to mentorship. I know we have talked about networking,
Mm-hmm.
but mentorship is another area that I have found very beneficial in the last few months.
Mm-hmm.
Not only
Mm-hmm.
in my job search, but I have had several mentors, including you, since the beginning of my career. So I would love to learn some of your experience and advice about mentorship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Thanks for asking that, Anabu. Like, and mentorship is a lot of times that we do feel like it's like a very formal way of like connecting with a mentor and you being a mentee. But
Right.
actually, there's a lot of mentorship is less formal, I would say. Right? I think
Hmm.
you and I. probably, and is in that room of like it's
Right.
more of a informal mentorship, right? And
Right.
it grows naturally. It's not something that we decided one day to say, "Hey, Habu, would you like to be my mentee?" or like, "Can I be your
Right.
mentor?" Right?
Right.
But it's just naturally developed, right? So again, I'll go back to is the interest that I have genuinely
Hmm.
developing other people, right? So I
Right.
think because of that, that message comes across to different people, and including you, that
Hmm.
I was open to help. I was open to share. I was open to support, right?
Right.
So, as a mentor, I would say that it's important to see where the person that you're trying to mentor, where they are at,
Hmm.
meet them where they are at.
Right.
So it's not like having just a one size fit all type of agenda, like you need to go through the 10 steps per se, right? But
Right.
it's more of understanding of what the person needs, and offer the help, offer the way that you can support the person to grow, right?
Right.
At the same time, I would say the really beneficial part for a mentor is that you also get back from the mentee. I
Right.
often do, and I definitely had. And over the years, Abu, I also learn a lot from you because you have a
Thank
very
you.
different perspectives than me. You have a different
Right.
experience than me, right? And you came at a different time and a different background, a different training. And so you opened up different doors for me as well to see how you can do a certain things like differently, right? Or think of a different topic, like a topic
Right.
differently, right? And
Right.
do I agree every single time? Not necessarily, but I'm also learning that different thoughts and that diverse views actually shape and help on the innovation, right? Like, so as
True.
we were, like you mentioned about, network, that we had different people, different backgrounds, right? And so I really treasure those mentorship relationships
Right.
that I could help someone, but also I get something also from that relationship as well all the time. And I'm very thankful for having those opportunities because I guess like the really important piece of for everybody is like you continue to learn, right? There's no
Yeah.
stopping on learning, right? And then you can learn it in many different ways, training, courses, whatnot, of course, on the job, but also even just talking to people, you can learn a
Right.
lot as well.
Right. And equally thankful, Amy, that I have had you as my mentor, informal, as you said. But I remember every time I expressed an idea, you would have expressed interest. Okay, let's discuss that. Take that as a in a half an hour virtual coffee call, and let's hear about it. So that kind of inspired me to think more and kind of forced me to okay, I have to go meet Amy. So let me think what my idea is. Does it sound stupid or is it okay? So
Never.
out of never, thank you. So out of that, I want to share a little bit of my experience with our viewers and listeners about formal mentorship. We talked about informal and formal. I
Yeah.
did go through formal mentorship as well, and Project Management Institute. Those who are into project managing uh, does offer each chapter. They offer formal mentorship, and I already have a mentor that really helped me to get past some of my shortcomings, develop some of my soft skills, and kind of identify where my weakness is. So it really helps. And if people who are looking for some formal mentorship, I guess can look into PMI.org, and each individual chapter, each CD has own chapters, and they do
Mhm.
have programs. I think that's amazing. Um, all right, so Amy, I would like to move to a little bit more interesting um, question answer period. So
Mhm.
this is more like a rapid fire. I'm going to ask
Okay.
you quickly, and without thinking
Okay.
too much, you have to
Okay.
answer very quickly. All
Okay.
right.
All right.
So are you ready?
Yes.
What's the best career advice you have ever received?
I would say don't sell yourself short, right? To really advocate for yourself, basically.
Right. A book or podcast that influenced your career.
Mm. Um, Honestly, I'm not like a big reader, but one of the books I think that it could have probably is one that helped me when I was going the earliest stage of my career, was the Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey.
Oh,
That was a book that I felt is so relevant
mhm.
through the years, right? So yeah,
Thanks.
that one.
Thanks for sharing
Mhm.
that. One skill everyone should learn.
Um, deep listening, deep listening
Mhm.
of learning how to understand first, right? So, part of the work that I do, well, the work that I do as a coach, I would say, like, is part of
Mhm.
the reason why I felt this is a really a must-have skills for everybody. But
Mhm.
this is also a skills that I find that helped me a lot on understanding my clients and be able to listen and deep listen to them, help me to be able to help them, give them the best support and empower them to do what
Right.
they wanted to do, right? Hmm.
Agreed. A
Hmm.
mistake that taught you the most.
Wow, mistake. I would say that is not expressing myself or asking for what I want through the career. So I learned this probably very late in my career, I would say. Like, so that's why, like I say, I try to help people not to wait, not to do those repeating what I done like in such
Right.
a slower pace, but like really rapidly doing it is like, yeah, not to shy away from asking.
Right.
Yeah.
If you could do one thing differently in your
Mhm.
career, what would it be?
Definitely work with a coach early in my career, that it
Right.
would have changed my trajectory. That I truly deeply believe. I didn't get to expose to coaching until later on when I was more in the leadership role.
Right.
That understanding what that value brings, right? If I had known earlier
Mm,
in my career when I was
right.
younger, I felt that it could have really benefited me a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Your career journey in 3 words?
Three words: colorful, rewarding, and transformational.
Awesome. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that, Amy. So we are actually at the very end of our amazing storytelling here. Um, any final thoughts or words of encouragement for my viewers and listeners out there?
I always say that I'm a positive person, so I like the audience to also know that you can stay positive no matter how challenging or situations that you're at. You can
Mhm.
always stay positive because with that you can really have the open mind to
Right.
see different ways, different opportunities, right? And
Right.
so again, is embracing change and say yes
Say
to
yes.
navigate your unique path of success, right? And so that where I find it is really helpful is to build that resiliency on,
Hmm.
and so you can embrace change along. And as we all know, change is the constant, the only constant, right?
Yeah,
So
the world
embrace
is
that
constantly
and say
changing.
yes, for
Thanks
sure.
for thanks for sharing that. That's a wonderful advice and takeaway for our viewers. All right, so before we wrap up, let's recap some key takeaways that I was able to jot down. I don't know, I maybe not sequentially. I'm not even able to read my own handwriting, but I'll try my best. So we talked about your first job, where it was not in the tech industry. Obviously, it was more on the TV, but you learned a lot how to get prepared. That was one of your lessons learned. And then grew yourself in a Fortune 500 company over 23 years in IT department. And obviously before that you moved to Canada. You love to be here. You love the people and environment here, and you were looking for consultancy work, but you ended up in the Fortune 500 company. You waited for a couple of years to see how it goes, but you ended up 23 years, which is amazing. And you did share those were some of more most challenging years, and you did grow your career from analyst to a leader. And then you you participated in innovation, networking, as well as focused on communications and presentations as part of your skills building. Okay, I'm trying to read my own. Um, some of your advice was, how to develop oneself or grow oneself from one um, role to another, especially step up, is to ask and voice that you want to express it to your manager, and that's very crucial. You also expressed about Gen AI and AI and how it's gonna impact the society or the technology that we use in the coming future. You express that this is a tool, so we should treat it as a tool, but it should be also governed and highly managed so that it remains under control, because it's a very powerful tool. Okay, so in terms of let's see, other things that I also got is networking, meaningful networking, connecting with the person who is being connecting with each other, and really give back as you try to connect with the other person. In terms of mentorship, there are formal, informal. You've been my informal, but you always listen and hear and try to understand perspective, which is very crucial for somebody who is trying to help. And you have been doing that since the beginning of your career. That's how you developed your leadership roles. And you also published a book, which is let me read that again for our viewers. It's called um, okay,
You want me to
Evolution of
say it?
Leadership. Yeah, why not? You say it.
Evolution of leadership in STEM, catalyze women catalyzing change.
Awesome. I'll grab the link and share it in the commentary section after our broadcast is done. So that's a recap. And to wrap up, a huge thanks for tuning in to Story Behind a Resume. Want to learn more about our awesome guests or connect with future speakers? Make sure to follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You'll find the links in the description. And guess what? We're planning even more amazing sessions with folks from tech, marketing, finance, and more, all sharing their career stories and advice. Don't miss out. Hit that follow button on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube channel. The handle is at Story Behind a Resume. Love listening on the go. We'll be publishing this session in podcast as well on Apple and Google Podcasts tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that. Follow us on LinkedIn to stay updated on new episodes and podcast releases. And hey, if you are a pro with a cool career story to share, we want to hear from you. Connect with me on LinkedIn and let's chat about featuring you on Story Behind the Resume. Thanks again for joining us. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories that go beyond resume. Keep learning and keep exploring. Thank you so much, Amy, to uh, come to my show and talk about your career. It was an amazing one. I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, Abu. It's an amazing chat. I really enjoy it. Hope that the audience also like it.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.